leveraging digitalization to deepen regional value chains for sustainable and inclusive growth. With a population of 682 million and a GDP of over $1 trillion, COMESA is Africa's largest regional economic bloc, shaping trade, innovation, peace, and prosperity. The COMESA Summit 2025, live from KICC Nairobi, only on KBC Channel 1.
Good evening and welcome to Easy Friday. My name is Caren Kibbett. As we wrap up the week, a rainy weekend is on the horizon for most of the country, with heavy downpours expected across many regions, save for the coast and northern regions, which will remain relatively dry. But it's not just about the skies making news tonight. We have the latest in business, then what's making headlines in sports. So stay tuned. But first, here are the highlights. A rainy weekend it is. Most of the country to receive heavy rains throughout the weekend, save for the coast and northeastern. SHA funds theft. DCI detectives arrest 5 suspects in connection with theft of funds at the Social Health Authority. Conflict of interest. Preliminary arguments stops the hearing of CJ Martha Kome's petition challenging the powers of Judicial Service Commission. And empowering the youth. Government rolls out 5 billion shillings youth program that will assume a whole of government approach to ensure transparency. Welcome. This is Easy Friday. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Byron Abulu. Now, the government has rolled out a 5 billion youth empowerment program that seeks to expand opportunities for young people across the country alongside affordable housing, digital jobs and labor mobility. President William Ruto says the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement Onyoto program will be implemented through a whole of government approach to guarantee transparency and inclusivity.
The initiative, developed in partnership with the World Bank, is designed to support 100,000 young Kenyans, with 70 beneficiaries drawn from each of the country's 1,450 wards. Successful applicants will receive a grant of 50,000 shillings to kickstart small businesses in entrepreneurial ventures.
We have 100,000 that are targeted under the business support. We have 90,000 on-job experience who will be twinned with trainers. And then we have another 20,000 for RPL, recognition of prior running, and then another 600,000 to be trained on AGBO.
Principal secretaries have in the meantime been tasked with organizing meetings with governors, members of parliament in county assemblies as well as chiefs to coordinate the national rollout.
We have made a deliberate program, unlike before, to look out for opportunities for us to place young people in places where they can either get experience, they can get training, they can get on-job experience as we are talking.
Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises PS Susan Mangeni, under whose department the program falls, says Nyota has been designed as gender inclusive and will target equal opportunities for men and women while promoting entrepreneurship, savings and market access for youth-led enterprises.
We are targeting on improving youth employability, expanding employment opportunities, supporting youth savings, strengthening youth employment system, capacity and project management.
Yusufa reporting for Easy Friday.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has challenged elected leaders to focus on delivering their mandate and desist from divisive politics. Speaking in Kangema, Murang'a County, the Deputy President said good leaders use their powers bestowed on them to seek development for their people instead of complaining with the public. Gichuki Washira reports.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki took the government's empowerment program to Kangema, Murang'a County, where he urged elected leaders to use their constitutional mandate to seek development for their people.
Jukumu ya kiongozi ambaye amechaguliwa sio kulalamika. Ati mwananchi akilalamika hata kiongozi analalamika. Hapana. Shughuli ya kiongozi ni kusikiza malalamiko ya wananchi, alafu anatumia ile nguvu mmempatia ya kura kwenda kule Nairobi kusukuma maendeleo yenu, ndio maendeleo ipatikane hapa Kangema.
Professor Kindiki challenged the opposition to be factual in their criticism of the government and avoid sowing division.
Si kazi ya kiongozi ni kutafutia watu yake mali, kuwatafutia maendeleo. Mambo ya siasa itakuja siku yake. Msituharakishe. Kuna watu wanatuharakisha hapo na siasa mingi. Siku ya siasa inakuja, my friend. Na wewe unajiita shujaa wa siasa, utakutana na fire.
According to the professor, the country's economy has recovered under President William Ruto's leadership.
Sio ati Rais Uhuru Kenyatta hakuwa amefanya kazi. Uhuru Kenyatta alikuwa amefanya kazi kubwa sana. Lakini vile ile janga la corona lilikuja likafunga uchumi, kukakuwa hakuna kazi inaendelea kwa miaka miwili. Na katika miaka mitatu ambayo imepita, Rais Ruto ameendelea pamoja na sisi zote katika serikali kujaribu kusawasisha maneno ya uchumi.
Further, the Deputy President urged Kenyans, particularly the youth, to register as voters. MPs accompanying the Deputy President lauded the government for fairly distributing development across the country.
Ni kweli iko pesa zilikuwa zimetolewa kwa budget, na tukaongea na Mheshimiwa Kihongi, nikamwambia hatuwezi kubali Kangema iachwe nyuma. Kama Kikuyu Town iko na barabara za rami, hata Kangema Town iwe na barabara za rami.
Yeshoke Washira, Easy Friday.
Now, Kenyans have been urged to take advantage of the mobile registration of national identification cards to acquire their IDs and register as voters for the 2027 general elections. Speaking when he visited the National Registration Bureau, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, however, warned registration officials of dire consequences if found soliciting money to offer the service, saying IDs are free for first-time applicants.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen had visited the National Registration Bureau in Nairobi, where he expressed concern at the 400,000 IDs that lie uncollected at various civil registration centers.
Around 270,000 or 80,000 are those who are replacing their IDs, and nearly 150,000 are those who are actually taking it for the first time.
In readiness for the 2027 general elections, Murkomen called on especially the youth to acquire IDs so as to take advantage of the ongoing IBC voter registration drive.
As a result of application of latest technology, Kenyans can get their IDs in a matter of minutes, and delivery to the various registration centers happens between 3 and 7 days using the live capture machines.
The CS cautioned first-time applicants not to be duped by corrupt officials into paying for the IDs.
Kama unataka ID mara ya kwanza, hakuna kulipishwa. Lakini kama ulipoteza ID yako, unafaa kulipa. Ningependa kusema ya kwamba tukipata Mkenya yoyote, ofisa yoyote, kama ni chifu, kama ni clerks wetu, ambao wanaitisha pesa kwa wananchi, hiyo ni ufisadi na tutachukulia hatua ya kisheria na watafutwa kazi.
He also assured that despite the removal of extra vetting for IDs, digital security measures have been put in place to ensure no undeserving persons or non-Kenyans acquire the vital document.
I've looked at cases where some Kenyans want to have an extra ID to change their age. Sometimes they want to have an ID and yet they are registered as refugees. Some people registered and procedural as refugees are unable to get IDs and so forth. I am happy to see that technology is applied, including the fingerprint system, to make sure that no person who doesn't deserve gets national ID.
Give us mine, Easy Friday.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has expressed confidence in President William Ruto's leadership, saying his path for a second term is guaranteed, crediting the administration's bold and strategic infrastructure investments for transforming the country's economy. Now, Wetangula spoke even as a section of the opposition warned the government to prepare for an upset in the November by-elections.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi were out on Friday. Rallying the country behind the government's development agenda, the Prime CS was in Vihiga County, where he assessed the final preparations for the Pentecostal Assemblies of God Church centenary celebrations.
Preparations are in top gear, and we believe we have a very, very good 100 years of celebration.
Speaker Moses Wetangula, while speaking in Busia and Homa Bay counties, affirmed that President Ruto's second term is assured, citing the government's focus on transformative infrastructure projects.
President William Ruto is in the process of transforming Kenya from a developing country to a developed country.
But as Wetangula and Mudavadi advanced the Kenya Kwanza agenda, former DP Rigathi Gachagua expressed confidence that the upcoming by-elections will be a vote of no confidence in the ruling regime. Gachagua and his allies have vowed to fill candidates in the mini-polls slated for November.
We are certain that we shall carry the day in the areas where we have fielded candidates. The party will not spare any effort or resources to ensure that a win is secured.
Among those seeking to upset the establishment is Gideon Moi, who is seeking another stop at the Baringo senatorial seat.
We are praying that we are going to have a peaceful election, but we on our side, as a commission, we are ready to carry out a successful by-election.
The opposition believes that the proposed privatization of state-owned entities such as the Kenya Pipeline Company is enough to catalyze an upset at the ballot come November.
Wanajaribu mambo mengine. Kuuza kampuni za serikali, hiyo ni mali ya watu wa Kenya.
Doreen Arange for Easy Friday.
The doctors' strike in Kiambu County took a new twist today, with county officials accusing Governor Kimani Wamatangi's political opponents of inciting members of the public. While the doctors protested salary delays, the Chief Officer Health Department, Dr. Patrick Nyaga, asserted there was no crisis in all hospitals.
As the stalemate between Kiambu County government and striking doctors deepened, a section of women drawn from Kiambu sub-county staged a protest at Kiambu Level 5 Hospital, claiming the doctors' strike was taking a heavy toll on patients.
And it's very sad at this era, at this 21st century, we don't need to have such kind of deaths. Tuambie governor, sisi we are not political, tukutana all walks of life, we save our kids. We are saying no more deaths, na mgomo iishe.
A position supported by Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union.
We have letters where even the doctors have written to the county telling them we are not equipped to do these kind of things. The county has also compelled doctors in administration, people who've not practiced for years, to go back to clinical practice, to theaters, and this is what is compounding the bad situation.
However, a rival group emerged and disrupted the protest. The County Chief Officer of Health, Dr. Patrick Nyaga, and Kiambu Hospital Health Board member Josephat Waiti Ndungu, however, dismissed the protesters as political hirelings.
Kiona mtu amelipwa, hakuna kitu hawezi fanya. Na kwanza naweza kuwaambia wanasiasa, wale wanafanya siasa na hospitali, waache kabisa, na waache na wakome.
Ndungu maintains that patients are still being served at the county's hospital.
Unapewa 500 unaweza kusema kuna watu wamekufa na hujaona mtu. Hakuna mtu umeona amekufa.
Stakeholders in the country are calling for a truce between the county government and the doctors.
We are giving the county government of Kiambu and the doctors union 7 days, after which these signatures, we are going to take them to the president and we are going to petition him to suspend the county government of Kiambu. Let us have a caretaker committee.
Now, the whole country, except for the coastal region and northeastern counties, is expected to receive heavy rainfall beginning today. In an advisory, the Kenya Meteorological Department says the heavy rainfall of over 20 millimeters is expected in the Lake Basin region, Highland West, and east of the Rift Valley, including the Nairobi area.
The counties to be affected by the heavy rainfall include Kisumu, Homa Bay, Siaya, Migori, Busia, Kisii, Nyamira, Nandi, Kericho, Bomet, Kakamega, Vihiga, Bungoma, Narok, parts of Kajiado, Baringo, Nakuru, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, Turkana, Samburu, Marsabit, Nyandarua, Laikipia, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Kiambu, Meru, Embu, Tharaka Nithi and Nairobi County. The rainfall, accompanied by gusty winds of over 25 knots, is expected to reduce in intensity beginning Monday next week. The weatherman is further warning that the winds could blow off roofs and uproot trees, hence the need for caution. The Kenya Meteorological Department is urging the public to take precautions as the deluge could result in floods. Motorists and pedestrians have been advised to avoid driving or walking through moving water. The public is also asked to avoid sheltering under trees or sitting near windows with metallic grills to avoid lightning strikes.
Now, 5 suspects have been arrested in connection with an alleged theft of funds at the Social Health Authority. In a statement released by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation on Friday, the suspects will be arraigned on Monday. The DCI says it received 1,188 files from the Social Health Authority and the Kenya Medical Practitioners on 1st September 2025 on individuals, organizations, and various parties alleged to be involved in the fraud. DCI further stated that the files are at various stages of investigation and efforts to apprehend additional suspects are underway. A case in which Chief Justice Martha Koome is challenging the Judicial Service Commission's jurisdiction on judicial appointments and internal governance failed to kick off on Friday. This is after Advocate Nelson Harvey, representing an interested party, questioned the legality of 3-judge bench led by Justice Charles Kariuki that was expected to hear the case. Harvey, in his argument, cites a conflict of interest in the Chief Justice appointing the 3-judge bench in a case in which she's a petitioner. Additionally, he wants 2 of the judges to recuse themselves from hearing the case. More details in the Skills of Justice segment.
In his very submissions, Nelson Harvey argued that it was improper for Chief Justice Koome to select judges in a case where she is a petitioner, calling it a conflict of interest.
So it's our premise that it is misbehavior for the first petitioner, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, to come before a court subordinate to her as the President of the Supreme Court and subordinate to her as the Chair of the Judicial Service Commission and seek relief before that court.
He further claimed that Justice Mugambi and Mwamuye, who were appointed during her tenure, should step aside and ask the Deputy Chief Justice constitute a fresh panel.
I therefore humbly request that you return this file to the Chief Justice so that the Chief Justice can do the correct thing. One, delegate the petition filed by herself to the Deputy Chief Justice to a panel, a bench.
Senior Counsel George Oraro, appearing for the CJ, countered that the Chief Justice alone has a constitutional mandate to empanel judges and insisted that the application was a ploy to derail proceedings.
Or when she is absent on leave, or when something happens to her. The circumstances which are outlined in Section 5 of the Judicature Act, which are not in this case. So, it is beyond peradventure that this opportunity my Lord is trying to seize is not available.
Justice Bahati Mwamuye noted that a related residual matter was already pending before another judge, prompting the bench to hold off. The ruling on the objection will now be delivered on November 13th, 2025, keeping the high-profile petition on hold.
We decided that the ruling will be delivered on 14th November at 10:30 here in open court.
For Easy Friday, I'm Litua Deborah.
And that report leads us to a very fast short break right here on Easy Friday. Don't go too far. I'll be back with more news reports right after this short break.
Ulinzi la Kenya KDF inawatangazia zoezi la usajili wa Kenya ambao wangependa kujiunga nao kama wanajeshi. Zoezi hili litafanyika mwezi Oktoba mwaka huu. Usajili ambao utafanyika ni wa General Service Officers GSO, Cadets Regular and Graduates, Specialist Officers, General Duty Recruits, Tradesmen and Women and Defense Forces Constables. Je, una ndoto za kutumikia taifa la Kenya kama mwanajeshi? Kwa maelezo zaidi tegea KBC Radio Taifa tarehe 4 mwezi Oktoba, punde tu baada ya taarifa ya habari ya saa 1 usiku. Kadhalika, kwa maelezo zaidi ya wale ambao wangependa kujiunga na jeshi la Kenya, tembelea tovuti ya www.mod.go.ke. Kumbuka, tendo la hongo na ufisadi wa aina yoyote ni kinyume cha sheria na hakuna anayeweza kushawishi usajili wako, kwani zoezi hili ni bila malipo kwa wote ambao wangependa kujiunga na jeshi la Kenya. Ukikubali kuadaiwa, utapoteza pesa na mali yako na kuishia korokoroni.
I welcome everybody to the Siaya International Trade and Investment Conference. This great conference is going to take place in Siaya from the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th of October. We are going to have more than 2,000 delegations from Kenya and abroad, and the participation is going to be high level. His Excellency the President has agreed to be the chief guest. We are going to have a conversation about Siaya and, by extension, Kenya as an economic region and Lake Region economic bloc. This conversation is going to turn into real investments in Siaya, where we are going to showcase potentials of nearly $3 billion projects which are bankable, and you are free to come to the conference and be able to be part of this great conversation. Welcome to Siaya, and see you on the 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th of October. Warwaku Siaya, Siaya Kababa.
A goal is an objective. It's a clear picture of what you want to do or who you want to become within a given time frame. Like you've said, many of us have got big dreams, but then some of these dreams are not within the scope of what we can achieve. Okay. So after that, Is it realistic?
But the reality is some of these ambitions never come to realization. And we have heard of many people who had great ideas and concepts and ambitions, but they didn't even actualize them.
If you are having this conversation 3 years from today, what has to have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to be happy with your progress?
Welcome back. For those joining us right now, this is Easy Friday. Now, people living with HIV and AIDS have held street protests demanding the inclusion of HIV and AIDS services in the Social Health Authority benefit package. The group marched to the National AIDS and STI Control Program offices before and the Ministry of Health buildings, saying they can no longer afford life-saving drugs following the withdrawal of donor funding. They further decried the growing stigma surrounding HIV.
Luckily, we still have the ARVs, but other things that we need to go with the ARVs are not there. So before you are put on ARVs, you need to be tested. Testing has collapsed in this country, as you can try in any vicinity. When you are tested positive, you need to go to the lab, and there are lab tests which need to be done. The lab tests include CD4, viral load, creatinine for the kidney, liver function test. So these days, because there is no money from Global Fund and paper, for those who go to pick their ARVs, they are told that you go to the pay private sector in the labs, and these people don't have money. The Ministry of Health provide a waiver for the user fees that they are charging so that people are given medicine. Yes. Number two, these things that we need so that we monitor viral load like CD4, testing for TB, can they be covered by SHA, under SHA? Because we think that the more SHA is continuing to exclude people living with HIV, that is stigma and discrimination. And that is against the Kenyan constitution.
Now, police were forced to lob tear gas on Friday to disperse a rowdy crowd that had barricaded the Olkalau-Gilgil highway. The protesters were opposing the construction of a new secondary school on land currently occupied by Nyandarua University College. Meanwhile, transport was paralyzed in Kapsuser, Kericho County, as irate residents barricaded the roads demanding to be employed in one of the tea companies, accusing the company of sidelining them in employment opportunities. Here are the details in the county news briefs.
These were the scenes at Olkalau-Gilgil in Nyandarua County as irate protesters barricaded the roads. County politics played out as protesters attempted to stop the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of a new secondary school initiated by the area MP David Keroho.
Na mimi ndio in charge ya elimu Olkalau constituency. Hawa wajumbe ndio in charge ya elimu Nyandarua County. Niseme hiyo haiwezekani.
Meanwhile, in Kericho County, irate residents took to the streets to protest what they say is a failure by a tea company to employ locals demanding jobs.
Tunataka viongozi wa Kericho County watusaidie, lakini ninaona mtu mwenye ametuumiza kwa hii county ni mtu mwenye tulituma Nairobi aenda afanye oversight. Mwenyewe anaitwa Senator Aaron Cheruiyot. Hakuna kazi anafanya Kericho County.
Meanwhile, the Department of Livestock in Narok County has announced plans to vaccinate more than 1.5 million cattle. Narok Governor Patrick Ole Ntutu assured farmers of its safety and effectiveness in protecting livestock.
So yale ambayo watu walikuwa wanasema ya kwamba hiyo vaccination ni sindano mbaya kwa ng'ombe, hiyo ni uongo.
Separately, in Shinyalu, Kakamega County, a security guard was found dead in unclear circumstances, sparking anger. Residents say this is the 5th case to be reported in the last 5 months.
2 months ago, Ojumani ameuawa. Tuchamaliza muda sana, tena mwingine ameuawa.
na si wale wawili peke yao. Tukifanya hesabu wamefika ojemani watano.
Shinyalu OCPD Daniel Mukumbu said the prime suspect had been sought by police. Elsewhere in Nairobi, Christian faithful gathered for prayers to mark the season of creation 2025 under the theme Peace for Creation. The event, led by the Daughters of St. Paul, was characterized by calls for change such as tree planting, waste reduction and renewable energy adoption.
Publishing, or we are not just saying and things remain with us, but reaching out to create the awareness that everybody has a responsibility towards creation.
And the family of Alan Kamau, who died while in police custody at Komomwao Police Station in Kuria West, Migori County, has rejected the findings of a post-mortem on the cause of his death. According to the pathologist, Kamau died by suicide through hanging. However, the report was inconclusive on whether he took his own life or was hanged by someone else.
The post-mortem on the body of Alan, and we found that he had asphyxiation due to hanging. So the police officers are still going to continue the investigations to determine whether it was self-inflicted or whether there was some homicidal effect to it.
On set with my mother and father. Ulikatiwaje mam? Nasikia. Dad.
Lakini nilimkatia na kaingia box.
Nisikia vizuri, hata kama nguo haikuwa ya bei ghali, ilikuwa vizuri, nilinunua nguo ya 3,000. Gauni 3,000. Na nyinyi kwa Ruzana? Wako kwanza hazikukosi.
Haikosi kidogo kidogo.
Ongea ukweli.
In a world where news is ever changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first.
You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Now, welcome back. It's now time for business. Preparations for the upcoming 24th Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa COMESA Summit of Heads of State and Government to be held in Nairobi next week are complete. Trade Principal Secretary Regina Ombam, whom assessed the Kenyatta International Convention Center, which is the venue for the event, said Kenya will leverage the forum to push for enhanced intra-COMESA trade as well as economic cooperation and integration within the trading bloc.
Clearly, all logistical, security, informational, and the level of preparedness, from my assessment, I can say we are almost 99% ready. This, to me, is an indication of commitment of the people of Kenya. The call to action for Kenyans is this is an opportunity for Kenyans to also show that they understand what integration means, what integration prepares them for, and how best can they, as Kenyans, also showcase the positives and the good things that they do in that space.
Tanzania has exempted Kenyan nationals from its earlier orders to revoke and deny businesses licenses to non-residents operating small businesses. East African Community Affairs Principal Secretary Caroline Karugu says two nations have reached a bilateral agreement after ironing out trade differences, with Tanzania saying Kenyan traders will for now operate without restrictions in Tanzania.
Tanzania issued a new directive in July this year that restricted non-residents from operating in 15 sectors that is said were critical to the economy. Dodoma further said the move was aimed at ensuring foreigners operating in Tanzania invest in large-scale businesses. The new directive prohibited non-residents from engaging in mobile money transfers, tour guiding, small-scale mining, on-farm crop buying, beauty salons, curio shops, and establishing radio and TV operations. The order stipulated a fine of 500,000 Kenyan shillings or a 6 months jail term for non-compliance. Kenya protested the order, saying the directive would affect about 250,000 Kenyans living, working, or doing business in Tanzania. Kenya registered her concerns over the new directives, citing inconsistencies with 5 key provisions of the EAC Common Market Protocol that guarantee free movement of person, services, and the right of establishment for citizens of EAC partner states. Kenya businesses in the 15 banned sectors will now continue with their operations after Kenya and Tanzania concluded bilateral talks over the directives, with both governments reaching an agreement. Tanzania says no Kenyan business has been affected by the order and further reassured Kenyan businesses of non-interruptions in future. Kenya is asking its citizens working and running businesses in the United Republic of Tanzania to engage the Kenyan High Commission in the event of any distress and for information. Benson Rioba reporting for Easy Friday.
Kenya is refreshing its tourism offerings by moving beyond the traditional beach and safari packages to culture, cuisine, and lifestyle experiences as part of the growth strategy. Our reporter Trevor Ngendo spent the day at the ongoing Magical Kenya Travel Expo, where food exhibitors drew high traffic as visitors sampled Kenya's growing street food culture and local delicacies.
From the smoky street smocha to the sizzling nyama choma, Kenya is now aggressively marketing its cuisine and lifestyle as part of its tourism experience. You will love it. Exhibitors here say food is no longer just about what's on the plate, but about the authentic Kenyan experience that visitors can take home with them.
I said I want nyama choma. I love the Kenyan cuisine. I know you have, if I'm not wrong, wet and fried. So I like the wet style, but it's delicious.
Our visit here at the Magical Kenya Travel Expo saw people enjoying a variety of local dishes, with food exhibitors drawing some of the biggest crowds.
It's evolved from just being a street food to an experience that people are coming together to make sure that they have an experience of sausage. What makes Kenya exciting is a breakfast sausage. That's why you see people going to diaspora, they carry the Kenyan sausage.
We do with a lot of barbecue, and also this is a Kenyan thing. People love nyama choma. Nyama choma is part of the lifestyle of Kenyans, and we do a lot of barbecue, we do nice meat, and when people come to Kenya, they really need to try our meat, especially they come to Gecko.
Food out here is awesome, even though I'm a vegetarian, but we really have a lot of good vegetarian options and a proper vegetarian meal. And also the people out here are very good.
The expo itself has attracted more than 8,000 visitors and over 470 exhibitors from 40 countries.
If we have like international clients whom they have come to travel with us, we do have lunch at my house, or sometimes we do an early lunch whereby my wife, she gives them lessons how we cook ugali, how we peel potatoes and make mukimo, until we eat it.
The diversification of the tourism product offering to food, culture, lifestyle and adventure is expected to enhance Kenya's appeal to international travelers and tap into emerging global tourism trends.
We have our mountains, we have hiking trails, we have zip lining, we have all the rafting and kayaking on the Sagana River, we have water sports.
Trevor Ngendo for Easy Friday.
Players in the real estate sector are rooting for public-private partnerships to finance green building projects. KCB Bank Kenya Managing Director Anastasia Mutai says Kenya faces a 180 billion shillings green buildings funding gap, which can be bridged by tapping private equity. The Kenya Green Building Society is banking on exhibitions to showcase Kenya's potential in green buildings to attract investment in climate-smart projects.
Financial institutions must deliberately scale financing towards this space with local and global partners.
We've told you there's a gap. Please create a product. As KGBS, we're willing to work with you to create a sustainable product for these segments.
The government of Kenya remains committed to supporting this agenda through our updated NDC, the Climate Change Act, devolved climate finance, and green bonds.
Hiring rebounded the strongest in September as companies resumed recruitments in the agricultural and manufacturing sectors. The latest Purchasing Managers Index PMI by Stanbic Bank indicates that the index rose to 51.9 in September, up from 49.4 in August. A reading below 50 points indicates subdued economic activities in a given month.
October 2025, the world turns to Nairobi as Kenya proudly hosts the 24th COMESA Summit of Heads of State and Government at the KICC, bringing together 21 member states, global partners, and business leaders. This year's theme is leveraging digitalization to deepen regional value chains for sustainable and inclusive growth. With a population of 682 million and a GDP of over $1 trillion, COMESA is Africa's largest regional economic bloc, shaping trade, innovation, peace, and prosperity. The COMESA Summit 2025, live from KICC Nairobi, only on KBC Channel 1.
We are talking about a vehicle ownership. To many women, owning a car is all about convenience, safety, independence.
I think for me, car ownership is such a huge milestone because it is what we call, for most ladies, a big girl purchase. You've been working, you've put in effort, and finally you're committing to something that adds value to you as a woman in terms of independence.
When you are dealing with a lady coming to buy a car and a man coming to buy a car, they are quite distinct. Now you wonder, what was she looking for?
Because she's looking for affordable and she's looking for something that is easy to maintain.
Yes. Now when you take her to that position, she comes out of it immediately and say, no, this is too small.
There are no limits to what we can achieve except those we place on our own thinking. Wow. So the moment you think it, you can have it.
Welcome back. We do apologize for the technical hitch that happened earlier on. We proceed. Kenya will transition to a quality-based cane payment system where earnings will be determined by the sugar content and quality of cane delivered as opposed to the tonnage delivered. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the change is critical to addressing the country's chronic cane shortages, which have left many factories operating below capacity.
Kenya's sugar industry is preparing for one of its most significant shifts in decades, from paying farmers by cane weight to the quality-based payment system. The government says the new system will reward productivity and discourage the widespread planting of low-yield, poor-quality cane.
We have tasked the factories to start engaging the cane growers themselves so that we are able to transit to varieties that grow in shorter periods, but also are better quality than what we currently have.
However, making the switch will require a complete overhaul of existing sugar varieties, as 97% of the cane currently grown in the country is outdated and unsuitable for the new system. As a result, the government says introducing high-yielding, drought and disease-resistant varieties will demand major investments in research, seed multiplication and distribution, a task that will be financed in part by the newly reinstated Sugar Development Levy, which is charged at a rate of 4%.
The estimate that we have as a ministry is actually something like 32 billion shillings that must be infused into the industry in order to transform ourselves from where we are to full capacity and with better variety.
If successful, the shift is expected to increase farmer incomes, improve efficiency in milling, and stabilize the sugar market in the long term. However, the Ministry of Agriculture has not indicated when the new payment regime will start and how it will be maintained. Ndutamo Kami for Easy Friday.
Now, the South Sudan government is calling for a downward review of cargo handling charges at the port of Mombasa to make products in the country competitive. Here is Benson Rioba with the details.
South Sudan ambassador to Kenya says the $5,000 or 646,000 Kenyan shillings deposit required for each container transporting goods to South Sudan is 3 times higher than charges imposed for those moving goods to other countries in the region.
Total cost of shipping, handling, and clearing of goods is 2 to 3 times the value of the goods themselves. And facilitate smoother trade flows.
Benson Rioba reporting for Easy Friday.
Hiring rebounded the strongest in September as companies resumed recruitment in the agricultural and manufacturing sectors. The latest Purchasing Managers Index PMI by Stanbic Bank indicates that the index rose to 51.9 in September, up from 49.4 in August. A reading below 50 points indicates subdued economic activities in a given month.
In the period, the steady growth in employment and the slowing of input price inflation in September helped drive the improvement in business conditions, indicating a renewed expansion in activity, which in turn was strongly related to rising sales and a stabilizing economy. As an overall result, the Kenya PMI rose to 51.9 in September, up from 49.4 in August, and above the 50.0 neutral mark for the first time since April. The index pointed to a fresh upturn in the health of the private sector after a period impacted by political protests and rising price pressures. Out of the firms surveyed, roughly a third or 33% noted that their output had grown in September, compared to 23% that recorded a decline. Some businesses reportedly benefited from the effective marketing and investments into products and services. However, some areas experienced weaknesses, especially in the construction industry, where output fell sharply. In the same period, Kenyan firms saw a further softening in the rate of cost of raw materials, labor and other resources used to produce goods and services from July's 7-month high in September. Approximately 9% of the survey panel faced higher costs compared to August, which was mainly due to a rise in purchase prices. However, purchase prices rose during September, which monitored businesses related to a mix of higher taxes, increased fuel prices, and greater costs for some commodities, partially due to short supply. Kenyan companies raised their output prices at the end of the third quarter. The rate of inflation was mostly modest, despite accelerating from August's 12-month low.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Easy Friday Sport. Duncan Waweru and Daisila Gerono emerged the winners of the 43rd edition of the Kenya Defence Forces Cross-Country Championships held today at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Nairobi. Daisila clocked 33 minutes, 4.03 seconds to cross the finish line first ahead of Glorious Ejep Kirui and Gladys Koech, who are ranked second and third respectively. Duncan Waweru stopped the clock after 29 minutes, 25.3 seconds to win the men's race, as Moses Geremi finished second in 29 minutes, 29.0 seconds, while Charles Katul Kakuri sealed the podium dash in 29 minutes, 31.3 seconds. Meanwhile, Isiolo won the mixed relay race after posting 23 minutes, 7 seconds, pipping Moi Airbase and Thika to second and third positions, respectively. The championships, which brought together a total of 16 teams drawn from all the KDF regions, was used to select a team that will take part in the forthcoming National Cross-Country Championships due on the 25th of October at the Eldoret Sports Club. Kenya will use the Kenya National Championship to pick a team for the 2026 World Cross-Country Championships scheduled for the 10th of January in Tallahassee, Florida, in the United States.
Ni preparation ya marathon ya New York kwangu, inanisaidia kwa speed. Nikipewa kijiti sikuwa natarajia nitaenda mpaka nikuwe position 3, but siku give up, nilifight mpaka mwisho. Kufika katikati maybe mileage ndio ilinisaidia, nikaona I'm capable kushika wenye walikuwa mbele, so nikafight mpaka mwisho.
Nashukuru Mungu kwa nimeingia top 6. Kwa mwaka nimeweza kukimbia short and long distance, na ninaona pia mwili kwa sasa ina cope up vizuri.
And a total of 20 teams have confirmed participation in this year's edition of the Safari 7th Rugby Tournament, scheduled for the 10th to the 12th of October at the Nyayo National Stadium. Holders Shujaa lead the men's 12-team entry, while the women's category has attracted 8 teams, including defending champions Costa Blanca Barbarians from Spain and the Kenya Lionesses and the Lady Cranes from Uganda.
Ya timu kadha miongoni mwazo UK 7 Select.
Well, we apologize for that. We'll be coming back to the Safari 7 story later. But first, good news from the Kenya Correctional Services, where newly crowned world 800 meters champion Lilian Odira has been promoted from constable to sergeant ahead of tomorrow's Kenya Prison Service Inter-Regional Cross-Country Championships in Ruiru. Odira, who bagged her first global title over the 2-lap race and broke a 43-year-old championship record in Tokyo last month, was honored with promotion today by the Commissioner General of Prisons, Mr. Patrick Arandu. The 26-year-old will now shift her focus to next year's Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland. The Prison Service will conduct its annual Inter-Regional Cross-Country Championships at the Ruiru Staff Prison Training College, where they will select a team for the National Cross-Country Championships set for Eldoret on the 25th of this month. The service unveiled its partners today ahead of tomorrow's event, which will comprise the 10-kilometer men's and women's races and the mixed relay.
Just welcome you back to work. We celebrate you. We honor you. We thank you for your incredible service to our nation and for bringing such honor to our home country and our name, Kenya Prison Service. You have run the race, you have kept the faith, and you have brought glory to our country. Congratulations.
Getting a promotion in my department is so much honor to me because it's not an easy thing. My coach has been my daily supporter, as I've always said. She's been with me. We've walked this journey together, and my family, my kids. So I think those are special people to me.
My target now is Commonwealth Games next year, and we have another one championship So that is the target now. We are going to sit and reschedule our program and start training from date.
And Kakamega Homeboys have moved up to 5th position on the FKF Premier League table after narrowly beating Sofapaka 1-0 at the Dandora Stadium in Nairobi. Josephat Lopaga scored the lone goal in the 4th minute of the game that created very few scoring chances for both sides. The 3 points have moved Homeboys 1 point behind 4th place to Lindsay Stars and 2 points behind the top 3. That is Shabana, Posta Rangers and KCB, who are all on 6 points. It was the second straight loss for Sofapaka, who remained 16th with just 1 point collected in their opening 1-1 draw with the FC Leopards 2 weeks ago. Sofapaka also lost 2-0 to Gor Mahia in their second match. Posta Rangers and AFC Leopards drew 2-2 in the second game played today.
Analetwa ndani nzuri huko, anapita kwake Senyonjo, from Kampala with love. Analeta nani Jackson Dwang, kichwa ile nafasi wanaitengeneza cha lazima. Wameilazimisha paka mwisho, imekuwa mpira mwisho umekaa kwenye nyavu. Wameipambania kweli kweli, imepiganiwa na wachezaji.
And we get back to our earlier story on rugby, where a total of 20 teams have confirmed participation in this year's edition of the Safari 7th Rugby Tournament, scheduled for the 10th to the 12th of October at the Nyayo National Stadium. Holders Shuja lead the men's 12-team entry, while the women's category has attracted 8 teams, including defending champions Costa Blanca Barbarians from Spain, the Kenya Lionesses, and the Lady Cranes from Uganda.
Title holders Shujaa will be joined in the competition by UK 7 Select, last year's losing finalists Shogun, Uganda, French Renegade and Morans, among others. The men's teams will be divided in 3 pools of 4 teams each, while the women's competition will consist of 2 groups of 4 teams apiece.
Games kick off on Friday in the afternoon. We hope that every team, all the 20 teams, get to play at least 1 round on Friday. So Friday afternoon we kick off our games. Round 2 and round 3 will be played on Saturday for all teams, and then we go into the knockout and finals on Sunday.
The committee and felt that it's important that we bring it back to Nairobi. The reason is basically, at least it's a central place at the same time. Maybe even next year, you never know, Ayumba, you may be thinking of taking it to Kakamega, your homeland. So for me, it's about rugby being played and rugby being enjoyed.
Meanwhile, Shujaa captain Samuel Asati and his Lionesses counterpart Sheila Chajira highlighted the importance of the Safari Sevens tournament, which they said will help the 2 teams get in shape as they gear up for the forthcoming World Rugby Sevens season.
To qualify to Division 1, and that starts by us preparing to dominating Division 2, and that will make sure that we remain top 4 in the 3 legs we have for Division 2, and we are working quite hard. And Safari Sevens is the beginning of our preparations toward the Division 2 championship.
The preparation to the Division 2, and also we have African Cup in November. So whatever we've been working for, it's towards the CAR and then to the Division 2.
We're not playing in 7th Division 1. So after the Surprise Sevens, the women's team have the Africa Sevens in November, which is a good step for them. But for the men, it's going to be a very big challenge. So we're trying to look for a plan, maybe get some competitions for them to play, maybe the month of December, the month of January, just to keep them active. Sevens 2 will start middle of February. So the challenge is to find activities in December and January.
The tournament, in its 27th edition, received a sponsorship boost worth 22 million shillings from EABL.
We partner with CareView. We ensure that whatever we're doing are correct to the confines of what is permissible. The
law and the regulation of what is allowed at Nyayo Stadium will differ from what is allowed here at KRU. So the fans can expect to hear more about the experience, the Tusker Village, how it will run, who to expect to come and enjoy in terms of from a music and entertainment perspective, and the time that will run to.
The draw for the Safari Sevens set for Tuesday next week, 3 days before the kickoff of this year's event.
And Master Ibrahim Ndungu is the first ever Kenyan to achieve an A class in the IPSC shooting classification after finishing among the best 60 shooters at the IPSC Handgun World Shooting Championship held in South Africa from the 11th to the 28th of September this year.
Master Ibrahim Ndungu of the Bamburi Rifle Club has graduated to the A class after finishing 5th in Africa and 59th in the world among 420 shooters who competed in the production division of the 2025 IPSC Handgun World Shooting Championship in Matlosana, South Africa. Maurice Mureithi was number 202 globally, while Kenya's top female shooter Agnes Wangeshi of DCI finished in position 231 in the same category. Ibrahim is taking a rest before starting preparations for the Saudi Arabia Level 3 competition to be held from the 4th to 7th December this year. In the division class, Thomas Kilu finished in 148th position. Charles Mugendi of DCI finished in 163rd position, while Adan Mohammed of the National Police Service was 177th. Issa finished 177th in the open division, with over 1,800 shooters from 76 countries taking part in that open category.
And that's the sport for tonight. Looking forward to what is a very exciting weekend. The FKF Premier League action is on. We're also seeing, a lot of motorsport activity and conversations before we get into the international break next weekend. And remember that on the 9th of October, Burundi versus Kenya from the Ntwari Stadium in Bujumbura. 14th, it is Cote d'Ivoire versus Kenya from the Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan, 4 p.m. next week Thursday, 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. on the 14th of October. So if you blink, you'll miss that link. Futa, Iko KBC. Back to you, Caren.
Thank you very much, Wahome, for keeping us up to speed with the latest news-making headlines in the world of sports. And that's a wrap. That's all we had for you this evening on Easy Friday. I'll see you next week. Our sign language interpreter this evening has been Byron Abuli. And don't go too far, because right after Easy Friday, DJ Cool Jacks will be, there he is, DJ Cool Jacks will be right here with the Disco Funk Show. Don't go too far. That's all from us. My name is Caren Kibbett, from the whole team that is right here in studio, and everyone who took part of the production. We wish you a good night and be safe. It's gonna be a wet weekend. Be safe. Good night.
Tushinde.com. Cheza safe, cheza smart. Gambling is addictive, not for persons under the age of 18 years.